Ladies and gentlemen, this is
Are
the,
you ready there?
I am if you are.
Oh,
Yep.
hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Board of Public Works meeting for Monday, August 16th, 2021, at 6 p.m. at Lively Plaza Program Room. It is now 6:05. We are awaiting the arrival of our chairman. As vice chair, I will begin the agenda. Tonight we have approval of draft minutes from June 21st, 2021. All these will be 2020. Oh, here comes our chairman now, so I will suspend.
That's all right, continue on.
Okay. We also have minutes from July 12th, 2021, July 26th, 2021, and July 26th, 2021 executive session. Items for action, we have extending contract 2020-18, which is for generator and transfer switch maintenance and repair for both the wastewater and water divisions. We have an extension of contract 2018 is the previous one, 21, which is electrical maintenance for wastewater and water divisions. A contract amendment for Phase 2 Brent Rock Seawall, household hazardous waste day, dredge spoils area, water system mapping and engineering and supplemental services, pavement management program, engineering and supplemental services, and a new drain layers license for G.A. Flammer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm assuming the P is relatively silent. And then items for discussion, we have an update on 965 Plain Street, an update on the Marshfield Hill Sidewalk Project, warrant articles. As you may or may not be aware, I believe it's Thursday night, the warrant closes, Tom?
5 o'clock Thursday
Yep.
evening.
And then I will be doing an update on the polyfluoroalkyl substances and the water division testing, and I also want to have a discussion with the board about beginning public education to people so that they understand we are the main contributors to PFAS for the most part by what we use as consumers. And you know, we want to work on it, among other things, Teflon. Synthetic clothing,
We as the people, not we as the town.
we as citizens.
Right, we as citizens, we as,
And that's the whole USA.
okay.
Do I have a second for the agenda?
You have a second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
You got that over, Mr. Chairman?
Yep. Since I see a lot of people in the audience, do we want to move something out of,
It would be my recommendation, I believe everyone is here for the discussion on whether or not we will transfer the dredge spoils to the control of the harbor master for the expansion of his parking area. And I have no objection to advancing that just for the benefit of everybody that's here.
okay, so let's move up the item number 5 of section 2, actions for,
I assume that's the
items of action,
acceptable.
dredge spoils area, and we'll move that forward. Okay?
Second, yep. All those in
Okay.
favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move that forward.
That's under 6.
Number 6.
Number 6.
No, and 6 in
I'm
the
sorry,
book.
5.
5, but in 6 in the book.
Yeah, okay, it's in the book. Okay,
It's tab 6.
so Tom, you want to take this?
Yes, this is Phase 2 Brent Rock Seawall. The town received a grant.
No, this is item.
No, we're going,
Tab 6 in your
Tab's
book.
not in.
items of
So,
action.
yeah, let's go.
V, item 5, number 6.
I'm sorry, hazardous waste collection.
Some of these people haven't had dinner. Some people haven't had dinner yet, right?
All right. Okay, this item on the agenda, we voted 2 meetings ago. I believe it was 2
Back in
meetings
June.
ago,
Yeah,
back in June, to allow the use of the dredge spoils area for parking. And the board needed to get the MOU with the sunset clause written up by town council. So that's what the impression that I have, that tonight we were gonna vote on the sunset clause, the MOU.
Okay, and since then, there's been discussion at other boards in town conservation
Yes, there's,
and the ZBA.
and
So-
ZBA, and last week ZBA met and continued this to a later date.
I believe it's their meeting, second meeting in September, I think, is,
Okay.
if I remember right. I won't, there were other people here that heard it, so I'm not sure. Yeah.
So is it premature for us to do anything until after the ZBA meeting, or?
Well, I would submit that, and it was, I believe, an item raised by Ms. Keith in the audience that tonight, when she was in the audience at the ZBA, that without a vote for transfer, the action by the harbor master is not appropriate because he is not in control of the property.
Okay.
And that would be the only consideration. I have reached out to town council on that subject, and his answer to me was, as it is town property, you know, our intent, once established, basically enables the submittal, in his opinion.
Okay, so we
Why
should,
did he come before our board? Didn't ask permission?
I didn't say that, I don't know what you.
He came before our board and asked permission, which at the time, before all of the rest of this is transpired, we basically 2-1 voted
Yeah,
to
I
support.
voted against it.
I know, we voted 2-1 to support it. So he was proceeding on an intent by the board. Not in its majority, I mean, not in its unanimous, but in its majority, which I believe is
Correct.
perfectly appropriate.
so we have a
And I guess
two-to-one
the statement I want to make right now is, from my perspective, within the Board of Public Works, the only dog we have in this fight is, it's the dredge spoils area, which is ours, and that, you know, our need to pull it back if we have to because of some future dredging operation is ours, and that is built into the memorandum of understanding. And that's my position, basically, is that is the main consideration that comes before this board. The environmental issues belong to the Conservation Commission and Mass DEP, and the zoning issues belong to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Correct.
And that's where I sit.
So, and I'm on the same page as you. I look at the, what they're trying to do down there is trying to alleviate a public safety issue with the number of trailers that are using the harbor.
What's
And I,
What trade?
Yeah, hang on, I would like to talk about that.
But-
You just talk.
but-
You know, I'm part
I
of
still
the
have the floor,
board.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sure, you have the floor. Go ahead.
I will give it, yield it to you, okay? I listened at the zoning board of appeals meeting, and I heard the positions and the statements by the various members that were in that meeting from the neighborhood, that stating, basically stating that they have not seen the volume of traffic. And, you know, I did reach out to the harbor master, and he stated there was one Monday, and he regrets he didn't take pictures. Well, that's his problem, not ours. But the bottom line comes down, you know, I have myself seen oversized trailers down there, and, you know.
Did you take
I can-
pictures?
Did I?
Yeah.
Back in.
They pay more.
I did not, but
What about that?
Mr. DeMayo did. One right there.
Is it
Oh,
amazing?
yeah,
Extends
no,
way
no.
over.
Wait a minute,
It extends way
wait a
over.
minute.
Is it
I'm talking about
Kelly Road?
down at Harbor Park.
Right,
No, this is the town here.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I'm not talking about Harbor Park.
I'm down there every day, there's 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah,
That's it.
I hear
That's
you.
it, there's 3 or 4 large trailers.
That's
And
right.
I understand your argument. okay?
Well, it's a good argument.
It's a good argument, but I don't see it as under the purview of the Board of Public Works. That's my position.
Can I say something, since?
Wait a second, before we do that.
Okay, I yield.
Let's let the board members speak.
Well, you
First,
mentioned-
I will
then I'll
defer
take-
to John.
I'll take each one in order. So you have anything else to say?
I'm done, right now. I may say something in rebuttal, but
Okay,
Well, I've got something to say.
okay, hang on.
we know that. That's why I yield.
Are you ready, John?
Hey, don't be a wise guy.
I'm not
okay?
being a wise guy.
You're a
I'm asking
wise
you
guy.
ready.
Hey,
You're a
stop.
wise guy.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Say yes.
you're just a wise guy. I'm down at the pier twice a day. There's 3 or 4 large trailers.
Listen,
Matter of fact, the one he took the picture of doesn't even have a registration on it. There's no trailer registration on that one. However, they're not down at Harbor Park. There's no need to move these trailers down to Harbor Park. On the weekend, this weekend, there was no extra trailers down there. There was no one parked down there. Matter of fact, there were 3 or 4 vehicles parked down there. So his application before us, that he needs this for additional parking, is a misinterpretation of the facts.
Yes.
So, you know, if you have 3 or 4 large trailers, and you're gonna destroy 2 acres over 2 football fields of an environmental sensitive area for 3 or 4 trailers, is ridiculous.
The first item under discussion is whether or not one considers the area where dredge spoils are currently placed as an environmentally sensitive area. Okay, I would argue it's not.
It's
a permit-
wetlands.
Excuse me, I'm not, I have it right now, I'm replying to my member here. Okay. People can try to consider it a wetland. DEP in their walk down did not. They flagged, okay, and it turned out not to be when they went through with the harbor master.
Oh.
And it is an area, excuse me, it is an area that we can reuse as dredge spoils. There was an argument made that
can't.
it had been abandoned, but it has not been abandoned because dredge spoils operate on a totally different schedule than a normal sand and gravel removal or some other grandfathered permit by use. And that basically is an opinion I got from town council.
You seem to run the
Today.
town council all the time, and you know what his answer is.
But that doesn't mean you can filter a parking lot.
So,
That
John,
doesn't mean you can't.
we're going to have a back and forth, or you want to make a further statement?
Yeah, well, Dave goes to town council, you know town council is gonna use his magic and say, yeah, this is great, you know, it's not an environmental sensitive area. It is. The state uses a vegetative list, and Phragmites are on that list. And if it's over 50%, they consider it wetlands.
Yep.
It is wetlands.
It is wetlands.
Okay, but that was before the Conservation Commission and a member of the DEP that walked the property down. Why? That is their purview. It is not our purview.
They don't determine what's a wetland.
So, this is
Conservation
the-
most certainly does.
No, they don't.
Survey and inspect and flag according to wetland plants. That's their normal procedure. I know, I lived it, both as an engineer working for the town and my time in superintendent's chair.
You're broad.
No, you're wrong.
so,
You're wrong.
John, are you done?
Well, I'm just
I wanna
telling
say
you
something.
that he's wrong. It's
I wanna cut you
an
off.
environmentally sensitive area, CZM calls it a salt marsh. They want to return to a salt marsh.
CZM's opinion was advisory back in 2010. I remember the letter.
Yeah.
It was not, they did not have sway on it. DEP had sway.
No.
Okay. John, are you all set? Because
No,
I'm going to
yeah.
go to the audience and have someone
Go
speak.
right ahead, go to the audience.
Okay. So Pam Keith,
I just want to say, unless I misunderstood you, you mentioned that it was me who made a comment about Mr. DeMayo not being the owner. I did not make a comment about that in the zoning board. I don't care about that. What I cared about in the zoning board meeting is that under our town zoning bylaw, this cannot be built. And I understand that that causes a little bit of difficulty for a board like yours because that is not your expertise and that is not what you might say is your purview. But I do have the opinion that you have an obligation to know what can and can't be done on land that you control. And I'll give you an example. When people came forward, the organization who wanted to build the dog park, which is now going to be built behind Roach Brothers, was speaking with our town administrator, Mr. Moresco, who should have known better, and probably did, that they wanted to use the land on Parsonage Street, and they were coming before you. I knew right away that if you own that land, if the DPW owns the land on Parsonage Street, that was for a reason, and I was very quickly able to look it up. It took me 5 minutes to find the stuff at Registry of Deeds that it was water protection. And Mr. Cusick also knew it was water protection, and that plan fell apart, and that's because you knew, or someone knew, that the land was protected for a certain reason, could only be used for a certain reason, and you couldn't build a dog park there. So you people have an obligation, the zoning laws state, I'll just say one more thing. I have an example from the past here, and the example from the present is available in the zoning office. When the Harbor Master building was going to be built, they put a request for a variance on the front page and put it in the public notice. But when they instructed me to go get the application, by the way, the chairman at the time, Mr. Kelleher, when you got to the middle of the form, where you have to fill out Form 2B for the variance, there's a totally different variance inside. The two didn't match. This was written by our town council, okay? He would never make that mistake. It was intentional. They were hiding a variance, and they also never acknowledged the coastal wetland zone at that time. Very intentional. Now you have the same thing. When I got the application for this particular parking lot project, the front asked for a special permit of one type, yet the inside asked for a different special permit that has a totally different set of rules. There is no way that anyone who is an expert, like the zoning officer or a town council, would ever write an application that makes that mistake. That is intentional. They are hiding the laws and rules that prevent this from being built by trying to gloss over and use a simpler permit. Okay? So you people have an obligation to understand that. My letter, I have just heard today, was sent to you. I have copies of it here again. It's 2 pages long. It might sound rambling. I know the zoning board knows exactly what I'm talking about. And it is about their intentional writing of an application that is intentionally wrong. If this town knew, if Bob Galvin, our town council, knew that he could do this correctly, he would. The application wouldn't have been written in that strange, weird way. He would do it the right way. And the only thing now, you can say you want to dump dredge spools there, that is not a parking lot. You can want a parking lot all you want, just like the dog park people wanted a dog park. But they couldn't put a dog park on Parsonage Street. It was protected land. This is protected by our zoning bylaws in a different way. You cannot put a giant parking lot there. They can continue to use what's there, but they cannot bulldoze and fill in the remaining land. It is not allowed by our zoning bylaws. So all this talk about whether the trailers fit or don't fit, to tell you the truth, is meaningless. It's the wrong issue. The issue is, in our town, for all of us, we really should be coming together to find out for real whether this is allowed or not. And really, the decision does lie with the zoning board in the end, but it is premature to really be signing anything, I think, with the harbor master when the zoning board has not made its decision. Because that is what we need to know. Can you build this?
I have a response to just one item with that. I would like to point out that when the dog park was seeking to use the site of the old Parsonage Street well, I actually was in the audience. Speaking in support of that, there is only one reason why that is still water protection property, and that is so that we have the well capacity on our books. That well, whenever it used to come on back in the 80s, when we had all of the issues with the Furnace Brook aquifer area, I could taste and smell that, because that particular well site is under the influence of surface water. Had it not been for the need to maintain the volume on the books so the DEP wouldn't give us a haircut on how much we could pump, that probably could have been turned over, and the town could have released it as water protection property. Just to correct that. That was during Mr.
Well, I just want to say though, too, I believe under state regulations, when you do take something offline like that or whatever, there is a very long, involved, it might not be long, but it's kind of long and involved process of either, getting new land or whatever the heck, substituting.
I think the
So-
question was missing.
Well, so, excuse me, you haven't been recognized, number one. Number two, just as a matter of point, I did check with town council on whether or not, in fact, he had been involved or seen the application. You're quite right, he had not. And he actually said that you may be right within the articles. However, I'll read this statement, that Marshfield bylaws are very permissive on pre-existing non-conforming uses, and they may be altered or extended as long as they meet the requirements of section 10.12, which I know you spoke to it that night. I heard you clearly. And there is a finding it will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the pre-existing non-conforming uses. And I guess if I can, if you folks have an argument to bring before zoning board of appeals, that is the argument to make, that it is more detrimental to the neighborhood.
There's more than that, though. You can't make a
Well,
substantial change.
Again, that's an
Period.
opinion and a judgment by the ZBA, not this board,
Well,
in my opinion.
can I just tell you one other thing, because I don't think I have anything else to say, but there are other forms of lawsuits. There is section, there's Mass General Law 214, Section 7A, which allows any 10 citizens, standing is not really an issue, any 10 citizens, and they can be even from out of town, that can sue on an environmental issue. So that's one thing, your board is, you're opening yourself up a little bit to be brought into that. And you being an autonomous, kind of separate from maybe outside the budget in some cases, you know, whether you incur expenses or whether town council is at your disposal, I don't know. But that's, I mean, you're opening yourself up, because again, I know that the application was filled out wrongly, and Mr. Galvin denies writing the last one, even though he billed the town for it, and he, to my face, 2 times we talked about it, and he denied it both times because he doesn't want to be involved, so I know he's keeping his distance from this.
Okay, I want to move on.
I want to address something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shaughnessy would
I
like
want
to
to
say.
address something. Just 1 second. Dave and Ms. Keith, you mentioned the dog park. We kept that under our jurisdiction for up in that area, Meeting House Lane. When that goes to sewerage, we need a pumping station. And that's one of the reasons we kept it. Not necessarily for water, for a pumping station.
I was referring to Parsons Street, not
That's correct, Parsons Street. Yeah,
the old Parsons Street well, right there
Yeah.
right there between Webster and.
Wherever the land we had under our control was a good spot to use for a pumping station for that area.
I believe you're talking
Webster
up
Street.
behind Roach Brothers now.
No, I'm not. I'm talking up on Webster Street, when you go up Webster Street in that area, when that goes to sewerage.
Oh, that's on the far side, down toward Carswell on the backside. I know the location.
I'm talking about Webster Street, Meeting House
So-
Lane. out-
Yeah,
I can solve this whole problem. right
Okay,
now.
hold it. Hold it. I want to get back on track. I asked you to speak, go ahead. Speak your name and name and
My name is
address.
Bob Tice, I'm from the Marshfield Commercial Fishermen's Association.
Okay.
I've been around to a lot of harbors. What other harbors do, if they have a big boat like this, they let the trailer launch. Then they go into the parking space. Now, the truck and the trailer won't fit in the parking space. So you put the trailer in the parking space, you unhook it from your truck, and then the truck goes and parks in a single spot. It's the end of the whole thing. If this is about big trailers, that's the solution. That's what other towns do. And we're all talking about dredge spoils and this and that. There's a simple solution to this.
It's only 4 or 5 trailers big on it anyhow.
You just put the trailer in the big trailer spot, unhook it from the truck, and then the truck goes and parks in a single spot, and there's no problem. It's the end of, that's the solution. Why hasn't anybody thought of this? I mean, all this stuff about dredge spoils and wildlife and traffic jams, and so, you know,
Okay.
this puts it to bed.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak? Steve Lynch.
Steve Lynch, 50 Central Street. So I think this board has forgotten who elected you. These are your constituents right here. The people who use that town pier that you're worried about not having enough parking space for, probably don't even live in Marshfield. And if they have oversized trailers, let them go some other harbor. It's not our job to provide them with oversized parking spots. These people elect you, they're your constituents right here. And even if it's totally legal, even if it says in the bylaw, you may turn wetlands into a parking lot if needed. The people who elect you don't want it. We live here, we live there. And Dave, when you brought up that part about safety, what happens when they start filling both parking lots? And now we double the amount of people down there. I don't even know why you brought safety up, because you said it wasn't in your purview, but you did. But what happens when we start having twice the amount of people parking there, when both 118 space parking lots are full? We don't want it, we live there.
Nope.
And that's your job, is to take care of the people who voted you into office. So I don't care if it's perfectly legal, and any of these arguments don't matter. We don't want it, it's your job not to give it to people who don't live in it. We don't want the town pier to be a destination location for people who don't live in Marshfield, just so the harbor master's budget can get bloated.
Okay.
So I just wanted to ask.
Name and address for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marion Killian, Tower Ave. I just want to confirm what you said, that the reason the harbor master brought this to this board was because of a safety issue for parking, for these trailers, is that correct?
That was the position he took at the meeting, yes.
Okay. So you just said that you didn't bring up safety,
I did not make the safety statement.
Okay.
He did, okay?
But that's the whole reason that we're here.
That safety statement was tied more to the traffic of the trailers and the boats within that whole area as opposed to, you know, pedestrian traffic or other roadway traffic other than the boat and trailers. That was the way he presented it.
Okay, so that's my understanding that the reason why he wants this parking lot is because it's not safe.
And
The way that it
he
is.
feels that the large boat trailers tend to block things off.
Okay,
Now,
so
John's
then-
position about them
to
going
his
down
point-
to the other parking area is a valid one. I'm not saying it isn't.
I mean, can they put a restriction on how big your trailer is? You know, it's a small town pier. Can the harbor master put a restriction on how big the trailer is? Or, to his point, just, you know, have them park the trailer in the spot?
I'm not certain on that. I believe that you have some very difficult situations of trying to restrict marine access, you know, and if you're open to the public as a harbor.
There's 4 or 5 trailers that are large.
Yeah.
They could go down and park where we have that lot right now.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. No one parks there.
So somebody wants to bring a 100-foot boat down on a 100-foot trailer, that's all right, Dave? I don't think so. We have complete control of any regulations we want to make at that town pier. The only thing we require is the state permit. We have a contract with the state of Massachusetts to provide 116 parking lots since 1967 when they backfilled it and paid for it. It doesn't say we have to provide oversized parking, and there's just no reason. And not only that, these other harbors around, like when I go fishing in Chatham, or Hyannis, or Nantucket, it's $500 if I just want to go to their dock and take one fish out and sell it, or get fuel for my boat when I'm in their harbor, because I'm not a resident. He needs to get some more revenue. Let him start charging people who do use the harbor currently, who don't live in Marshfield and pay property taxes, a gigantic fee to come here. That will slow down the amount of traffic he has.
There you go.
There's lots of.
That he can do.
Joe, just put your hand up. You want to speak?
Yeah. Am I on?
Hi,
Oh, she was
That's
before me, I
okay.
don't know.
Mrs. Murray.
hi, Mary Murphy, 252 Ocean Street. And so I just want to make certain I got the facts straight. So, Dave, it sounds like from, you know, your recap is that you had turned to town council, like you had received a written documentation from the harbor master, and you approached town council just to make certain that it sounded correct and fair, is that
The
right?
document we're talking about is the filing they put into CBA.
But the filing, to the point that I think this lady over here made, was that it sounded like the objective, or the front sheet, that the submission was different than the actual objective? Is that right?
That was, she is right in the context of what she presented on that.
No, I'm just wondering about the fact. Is that right, like the way in which it was
That's-
submitted?
That's
And
what
was that,
is
is,
context. That is the statement of facts as she made it.
Okay.
The statement of facts from town council is that our zoning bylaws are very flexible on those issues that she alluded.
okay. So again, I want to make certain my notes are correct. And then it sounds like there was a meeting previously, but it was 2-1 for the DPW for the
It was
approval?
back in June.
Back in June, okay. And then it also sounds like, again, just from my notes, that the Conservation Committee, while they went out last week and they looked at it, they really haven't made a decision yet as to whether this is conservation land or wetland, and we're making some,
No, this is, it's
Ownership.
okay. But with zoning?
Ownership.
Ownership.
That was the zoning board that was there, not the conservation.
Zoning, okay. So, and we don't know when Conservation's meeting to talk about it?
Conservation already
We already
funded
approved
it.
it.
Oh, Conservation already approved it, okay. And then my other question is, and just in the study, because I don't know if it was made public, and I apologize, because I'm probably showing up and asking all these sorts of questions, but did anybody look at the existing parking infrastructure that was available to, like, some of these other boats? Because right at the beginning of Dyke Road, when you turn in, there's a large parking lot there. I know it's the town managed.
That's what John was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, and so did anybody look at that as a part of the assessment and the need for safety?
And the answer is, I looked at it, yes. One of the things that I think is an argument against it is the fact that once you're down there, you have a long walk back. And if, let me finish, please.
It's very
Okay.
safe.
That doesn't bother me. I ride a bike and I hike and I play hockey, so it doesn't bother me. The bottom line is, if there's an event, for example, going on in the harbor, people with small children, elderly that might want to attend, that becomes a difficulty if they can't get parking right in the harbor area. There would be some additional parking across from Harbor Park for that purpose.
What was that?
I think the mic is mine. So I'm really hearing the opinion, Dave, of you as a board member, really deciding what you think is safety. Was there other people as a part of this or a part of the study?
I,
Like
as an
thinking-
individual board, can make up my own mind on anything I want.
Okay. All right, so you looked at that as a part of the study. All right, I just want to make sure that I understand that, as a part of this.
Here we go.
Because you've said it quite a few times, it's not in my opinion. But, okay, I just, again, wanted to make certain I understood. So tonight now, you guys are going to vote as to whether or not there would be parking made available via the DPW funds?
No.
No. Just more parking? You will put the
No.
parking? No. Okay, sorry.
They're voting on a memorandum of understanding.
Okay. So it's not that you're going to vote and then this is going to happen?
We voted as an intent back in June,
Okay.
all right?
At that time, we did not have the memo of understanding.
We didn't have a memo of understanding. Tonight, we're voting on the memorandum of understanding. John?
Yeah.
John, will give you the floor.
Oh, you're so
Thank you.
kind.
This is why I sit between them.
Yeah. Anyhow, on safety, this large mud hole that they're proposing from the harbor master, and that's what it is, a mud pit. There is no striping whatsoever. So, for additional parking, and I talked to the planner on this, it's beyond 300 feet. And if it's beyond 300 feet from the town pier parking, it comes under different regulations. And one of the regulations is safety for the residents, as someone just spoke about. Now, the little kids and the carriages and everything, they're parked in this big mud pit. How are they gonna get over to the town pier? They're gonna just run around the football fields? There's nothing there. Now, when the harbor master was here before us, he mentioned, well, we'll put chains in the mud pit. Or maybe we'll put rope. So there's no striping whatsoever. So just under safety for the residents, and the residents don't want it because it's not safe. It should be tabled. No vote should be taken. No memorandum should be understood until the ZBA finally decides what they want to do. The whole thing here is premature, but I'm talking safety now. And the safety issue is prime. And if you have the residents that don't want it, and it'll turn into a big mud pit, it's not necessary, it's not needed. The town pier is never full. Anybody ever see the town pier full? Never. The town pier is never full. Never. And there's no additional parking at the small lot because it's not needed. So for a couple of trailers, 3 or 4 large trailers, we're talking about a destruction of over 2 acres, 2
And we have a solution.
I know that.
We have a solution.
Okay, I don't want one at a time.
Okay.
I suggested that, and it's in the minutes, and Dave said it's a safety problem. I don't know if you ever trailered a boat. I do, I've done it for 20
I
years.
have trailered a boat,
I've done it for 20 years. You disconnected in about 3 minutes or less.
Okay, Dave, you want to say something about that, this mandate?
Well, I mean, I think, the position John took a minute ago, which is basically a deferral at this point in time. Okay, and, some valid arguments out here, and I think one of the things we should be asking specifically of Mike DeMayo, okay, give us the traffic volume data on which you're basing this, not just, incidental stuff, but traffic volume data, okay? John's point, I know that the residential Harbor Park type parking expansion is supposed to be closest to the guardrail, toward the park, to keep it away from the boat trailer area, but what other actions specifically would be involved with regards to resident and pedestrian safety? And then I also would ask, give us the number of peak days, okay, and what the volume actually is, and, the frequency with which that happens.
Good
That
suggestion.
answers the traffic issues, and if there isn't something valid to support it, we can act accordingly.
Okay, give the floor to this person here.
Yeah, so my name is Marty Lyon, I live at 89 Cherry Street. I am the property that, as you go over the bridge towards the pier in Harbor Master, I'm right on the left-hand side. And so the thing that I had a big question on there is I take a look at that parking lot all the time, I'm right up there and stuff, and I don't see the traffic congestion as other people have, said as well. But I understand that you're talking about, 2 or 3, large size, trailers. But we're talking about putting in 19 trailer slots, something like 80 parking spots. You put 80 parking spots up there for people going in and out of there. There's a real problem going back and forth over that bridge, especially in the morning when it's busy and in the afternoon when those boats go out of there. And with that, even as you walk over there, there's a crosswalk, it's blocked. You can't even see it because there's stuff blocked by it. I don't know who's in charge of that, but if the harbor masters, why haven't they even cut that? Someone's gonna get killed up there. That's what's gonna happen. That's what I'm really concerned about. So I'm concerned with 2 things. The data, which you have mentioned, which I think they should be able to find out when is it at peak. They know how many spots they have. They have the, they should be able to get the data out of the machine that tells you what you have on a daily basis. I've seen it packed up there once or twice, not fully packed, but, and it's during the 4th of July weekend, good weather. That's about on a weekend. But beyond that, it's a third to half full on a regular basis, even on a weekend. I mean, great weekend, great tide, you're gonna have it. It's like 2 or 3 times a year, I think, that I've seen. And the safety is the biggest issue on my part. That's all I have.
Okay.
When we're done with the audience's questions, I do want to...
Oh, yeah, but no.
No, I said when we're done. When?
Okay, fine.
Calm down, everybody. I would like to get the opinion of the superintendent when the time comes.
Did you ask me to calm down?
But
No, that's-
people started to get excited when
I am
I said
excited,
when.
this is a big deal.
Okay.
You don't live in this neighborhood. We do. It's a big deal.
Joseph, I want to let this lady speak.
You don't have to go back and forth.
So just a name and address for the record, and say what you want to say.
My name is Marlene LaBossiere, I live on Central Street. I'd like to add to your list of things to ask Mr. DeMayo to keep a record of how many cars actually park in that lot that we're talking about.
That would be traffic volume data that is parking in his parking lot. That's what that means.
No, I'm talking about the other parking lot.
So you're talking the one down at the...
I'm talking about the one we're talking about, across from Harbor Park.
Sorry.
Okay, I'd like to, because if there's nobody ever there. Secondly, how on earth are these huge trucks, the trailer, the boat, how are they gonna make that turn? I can't even imagine it. That street is so narrow as it is now. How are they ever gonna do that? This is an accident waiting to happen for no reason whatsoever. There is no need to have this. Also, I'd like to know, and I assume that you people do know, what the hell is buried there? What are we gonna dig up? Are we gonna dig up some horrid, funky smell that we're gonna have to tolerate? That's an environmental hazard? Has anybody done any kind of a study about what happens to dredge spoils after they sit for 10 years? How that affects a neighborhood? Has anything like that been done? I think we have to do some studies before we do anything. And I didn't like at the last meeting, supposedly they were talking about taking some core samples. Well, guess who's going to take those? The guy that's in charge of the project, who's going to make the money. He's going to be in charge of coming up with the core samples. That should be a separate person. A separate entity. Also, you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but I'm going to say this. I don't like Harbor Master DeMayo walking into those meetings with his big gun strapped on his hip. It is intimidating to people. I just don't see the need for it. And also, Mr. I don't know how to pronounce your name, I don't want to mispronounce
Like the air
it.
conditioning.
I'm sorry?
Like the air conditioning.
Carrier. Isn't it French?
Sois Carrier.
Carrier, because I am Lavoisier.
Oh, jeez, here we go.
We could agree on something.
C'est bien.
When we first started talking about, you know, that there were hardly any of these big boats and the trailer and all that, you showed Mr. Cusick a photograph, I assume, from your, that was a photograph sent to you by Mr. DeMayo.
I have asked Mr. DeMayo for some substantiating information. That was one piece that he said.
Why isn't he here?
Excuse me,
No, I'm just wondering.
Did he touch base with you about?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Why isn't he here? This is his baby.
I understand that, but this meeting is to discuss the merits of the issue, not to discuss Mr. DeMayo.
Yeah. And what I would.
I disagree.
Okay, fine.
You can
Okay, I
disagree.
disagree. This is his project.
Well,
Why isn't he here?
okay,
You know why he isn't here? Because he knows it's in the bag.
No, because I asked him not to.
You asked him not to come?
Absolutely.
Why would that be?
Because I wanted to have a clear floor so that we can air out exactly what the issues are and have a clear understanding where we want to go forward. And to have Mr. DeMayo in the room, it would be an issue of Mr. DeMayo issue versus the project itself. And I wanted to have a discussion on the project.
okay.
You can disagree, John, but that's the reason.
Versus the neighborhood, he doesn't want to show.
I would like to
He
respond
should be
to
here.
one item she brought.
Nice.
up.
So, okay,
I'd like to respond to one item she brought up.
I'm gonna let Joe speak
A
first.
couple of, Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road, a couple of technical things. First of all, I really take some exception to how it's presented on your agenda. It just says dredge spoils area. So, you know, if anybody really wants to know what this was about, you wouldn't know from that description. Secondly, I don't recall that you voted 2-1 in the June meeting to approve this. I think the June 21st minutes are on your agenda for approval. Was it that meeting or was it an earlier one? I just don't know when you voted 2-1 because I was at that meeting. And there was a lot of uncertainty about what a potential memorandum of understanding might incorporate. And I thought that nothing got voted on. In fact, it wasn't even an action item at that meeting. So you could not have voted 2-1 on it. The next thing is you've got some feedback, so that's illegal what you're doing. Now, you get some feedback. Excuse me, I'm speaking,
I
sir.
have information anytime I want.
So, wait a second, okay, Joe.
So anyway,
Well, no, wait a second, I'll stop there, because, when people say it's illegal and just kind of throw it off, that's not right.
okay.
The issue is, wait a second, the issue is, you brought a couple of points up. The issue back in June, it was a 2-1 to vote to move forward because they needed to go to conservation and they needed to go to the zoning board of appeals. So we gave him approval for the intent to go through the rest of the process. That was the vote. It's not illegal.
Well, I'd like to see that in the minutes and describe the way you said, because if you just gave him approval to go ahead, you didn't approve turning the land over to his control. You didn't do that.
No, it was.
Let's see the minutes, sir.
I don't
Let's see the
have
minutes.
the minutes in front of me, and this is not a court of law. So we're not gonna go back and forth. I mean, don't start lawyering up all of a sudden because we're having a discussion to try to do a fact-finding component. I mean.
I'm just disputing what you're saying is a 2-1 vote. 2-1 vote to do what? To turn over control of the
Forward with
property?
the MOU.
The 2-1 vote was to proceed pending review of the MOU, which we have done. Okay?
So, okay, now let's go on to the MOU. Apparently there's one.
We have not approved the
You haven't-
MOU as yet.
Okay, fine. And you haven't turned the land over to him either yet.
That is
You have
correct.
not voted to do that. Now, as far as the MOU goes, I don't know where it is. Do you have one? Why can't the audience see it? This is a momentous decision you're about to make affecting people's lives and investments. And you're about to take this land and transform the area. And now we know, Mr. Carrier, that there are ulterior motives here, because you just yourself admitted a few minutes ago that this is going to be crucial so women don't have to push their baby carriages and walk a long distance to a function. So you see, that's what's going on here. Somebody wants, and another official even said to me, this is all about chowder fests and lobster fests and making money.
So there's another ulterior motive you're not talking about here.
I
That's
didn't have
not
a
being
official statement. I've walked with my grandkids from that long parking lot, and that's why I made the statement.
Okay,
There's plenty, now, I'm not done. So,
Then the
now,
official
if you're in contact with Mr. Galvin, the town attorney, all right, and he's giving you feedback on zoning laws and non-conforming uses and all that kind of thing, here's a question for you. You say you think you can revert this back from a parking lot to a dredge spoils area. Do you know now that you can use that dredge spoils area without any restrictions? Does the board understand that that dredge spoils area is there waiting for dredge spoils at any time? Is that your understanding? I'm just trying to find out.
My answer to that is, I do not believe that that statement is correct. What I do believe will have to happen, okay, you asked a question, I'm giving you a response. And that is, I believe that the Department of Environmental Protection, if we were to go ahead with a new dredging operation, is probably going to require us to do a landfill filing and for special purposes, which would be strictly and only dredge spoils, and under certain restrictions. And I can speak to the fact that in 2010, the samplings that the Corps of Engineers and the contractor that we had doing the sampling at the time, you know, the material that went in, which I think was roughly about 5,000 cubic yards, if memory serves correctly, the main reason it went in was fines. The whole harbor was not found to have any toxicity issues at that point in time. Now, this is 2010. I can't speak. That harbor's been dredged since the 60s, and probably from the time the jetty was built out. And the bottom line is, the requirements on the marine area as far as oil getting in the water from two-stroke engines and that sort of thing have changed. If you get deep enough in the sediment, but there's been enough dredging out there that I would think that sediment mostly has been removed. If we have a contamination issue, my mind would be more of it will be coming down through the Green Harbor River and its tributaries than anywhere else, and most of that is going to be on
Excuse me, we're talking about the legality of using it as a dredge spoiler. You don't have to go into all the technical details, but it sounds impressive, but it doesn't go to the point. Do you understand that at any time, even if it's pristine, clean sand and silt and mud, can you use that as a dredge spoils area?
No, we can use it as a dredge spoils area under the circumstances I just elicited.
Under certain circumstances. So the answer is we don't know.
The answer is...
There's no certainty that you can use it as a dredge spoil area, and therefore, there's no certainty that you can revert from a parking lot to a dredge spoils area. So whatever MOU you have, and if it contains that provision, it's worth nothing. It means nothing. It's in there just to sound good. And you know it's never going to revert if it gets turned into a parking lot. It's never going to revert to a dredge spoils area because first of all, the feds probably won't let you do it, the state won't let you do it, and people probably have some vision of condos down there at some point. Like you have the idea that there's going to be a chowder fest.
The MOU will not allow that to happen because it doesn't allow it.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It's simply not valid. Now, the final thing I want to say, does conservation sometimes take control of land from the DPW for conservation purposes? Is there a precedent for that? Has it happened?
Yes.
Yes, it has. In fact, there's a big giant parcel right now being considered by conservation tonight to be turned over from the DPW. And it's going to be voted on at town meeting. So why won't you listen to the people and listen to common sense and say, here's our chance to do the right thing. Let's talk about making this land conservation land. And the fishermen are all on board with that. And for a good reason. You know why? Because for them to have fish, the fish need something to eat.
Right.
And everything that happens in the wetlands and uplands of the water feeds the food chain. So when the fishermen came out and declared one of their main reasons for opposing this was because of their business and their livelihood, you should listen to that. You should listen to these people and how their lives are going to be impacted.
Thank you, we're going off the subject.
It's not off the subject. It's the chance for you to do the right thing and to be talking about this land being turned over to conservation. Plain and simple. You have a choice to make and you have that as an option.
So Joe,
So take it.
Joe, hold on. The purpose of what we're trying to do is fact find, give people an opportunity to speak. I hear what you have to say. I don't necessarily agree with everything you say. I don't necessarily agree or disagree, but thank you for speaking up.
And I'd like to see a copy of the MOU as it exists right now. That's a.
So I'm gonna,
I would point out at the previous meeting, we did provide a copy of the MOU to a member of the audience, Mr. Kelly.
And I saw it, and it was very brief, and as my understanding was that it was lacking, and it was totally gonna be made over.
So you have seen the MOU? Okay.
okay,
That was not the same one, I'm asking for the one you have now. That you,
Hasn't changed.
it has
It
been
has not
modified.
changed.
It's been modified.
okay.
Well,
So
now we make that determination, let's see it, now compared to the one that Mr.
thank
Kelly
you.
has.
Let's move on.
I mean, wait, but wait.
This young lady over here would like to
Mr.
speak,
Kelly,
say something.
Mr. Superman.
Yes, Barbara Monroe, 31 Constitution Road. I agree with this woman right here. We need studies. And I don't think we should be asking the harbor master for numbers for traffic. I think we should have a traffic study
That's a
from
good
an outside
suggestion.
agency to look at the traffic flow, safety. If the harbor master wants to talk about safety, he needs to make sure that all the cameras are working at all the launches in Marshfield, that boats can be, launched, down by the Marshfield Yacht Club. The cameras are not working there. Why? If it's a safety issue, it's a safety issue everywhere in town. If you're launching boats and there's cameras, they should be working. But we're in town, and we need to make sure that the studies are done for traffic, not by the harbor master, by an outside agency. We need to make sure that what this woman said is what is taken out of that parcel of land is not somehow contaminated or going to cause a smell and things like that. We really need to watch out for this neighborhood.
Thank you, I want to thank you, and I am concerned about the smell. I mean, many years ago, I did an investigation. My first job is, why does Lynn Beach smell? And if you live next to Lynn Beach, you don't want to be smelling, and I wouldn't want that down in Brant Rock,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
That's from a personal experience.
We got a hit in the back.
So, you want to speak
Sir,
again?
I think it's important, yes. Guelph Fishermen's Association. One of the things you were talking about is a big problem is traffic. But wait till you hear this. So,
Let's let us talk.
I didn't hear, I wanted to hear what he said. He said
wait till
something
you hear
interesting.
this. We're gonna have a new town pier. The whole wooden pier is gonna be torn down, and the ramp is gonna be torn down. Now, there's 3 launching ramps right now. Well, the harbor master is cutting that down to 2 launching ramps, and he wants more trailer spaces. What does this tell you about thinking in this town? He's gonna create the biggest, and he has no idea that he's creating a traffic jam. He doesn't get it. I mean, I wish he was here so I could explain it to him. But you don't cut down 3 launching ramps to 2 and make more trailer spaces.
And there's no water there.
And it's a mud zone. In fact, I've been designated by the fishermen to work with him on this so I can explain these things to him. You know, so, I mean, this is the most ill-advised thing I can ever think of, to put more trailer spaces and less ramps. It's gonna be the biggest cluster that the town's ever had. This has to be thought out. These people put you guys in those seats. These people right here elected you guys.
By 7 votes.
Don't turn your back. Don't turn your back on these people. And if you do this with that dredge spoil, you're gonna have the biggest problems you guys have ever put in Brant Rock.
That's right.
Don't turn your back on these people.
Lawsuits when it happens.
That's right.
Okay. So, does anyone else want to speak? Sure, back in the room.
Hi, Greg Hagen, Pleasant Street. I live on the other side of town, so I don't live over here, and I have no beef with the harbor master. I get along with him. I don't even have a boat. But what I do have is an issue with the town taking 2 acres of wetlands, and I'm not an environmentalist either, but I just don't think it's needed. It's crazy, and I don't see the need to rush this. Go through some studies. These people live there. They're gonna have to deal with this the rest of their lives. That's their biggest investment is their home, and you're gonna cost these folks money. How would you like if I came into your neighborhood and put like a methadone clinic next to your house? You wouldn't like it, and these people don't like it either. I know you're just part of the process, but I'm asking you to hold off on any vote you take and just get a sense, get a feel for things. I mean, I did the government thing for 15 years in another town, and I know how it goes. Once the ball starts rolling, it's hard to stop it. And you folks tonight have a way to stop this. I'm not stopping, but just take a pause, take a look at it. I feel sorry for these people. They live there. This is gonna cause flooding to their homes. I mean, you just, when you pull into your driveway tonight, say, oh, I love my house. What if my neighbor did this? What if this guy cut down all these trees and I don't have the woods anymore? Just think about these people. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I have one question for Mr. Reynolds.
Sure.
Tom, my good friend.
Right, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Tom and I were selected 30 years ago in different towns. Tom, is there any way, you said that the warrant was still open. Could these people put a petition on that warrant to stop the DPW from transferring the land, or to transfer the land to
We're
the
not
Conservation
transferring
Commission?
the land, we're just what the MOU was to allow the use, but have a sunset clause in it, so if it was needed for our use, that it would go back to its original state.
But could they petition to make it conservation land?
Well, yes, they could. They
So
could,
they could.
yes.
But there's pitfalls in doing so.
There's pitfalls.
No, I understand that. The thing is,
But I'm just
the
looking.
thing is, if we can't use this land, if we turn it over to a parking lot, can't use it for dredge spoils, we're not gonna use it for parking lot. I mean, we have a harbor, we have dredge issues, and we need it. That was the understanding of for the fact finding that we were back in June, 2 months ago, of trying to determine, can we use this in the future? And if we change the use of that, we don't want to.
Not for 10 years, not for 10 years though.
Could I just
So-
follow up before?
So, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I think this gentleman made the most sense of anybody I've ever heard.
She's a fisherman, what else? You know?
And secondly,
He's a good fisherman, too.
I'm asking you, I'm imploring you to pause. I mean, this is gonna affect these people, this is gonna affect me, I live on Pleasant Street, but it's gonna affect these people. Please just think about that before you take a vote. Please postpone the vote you're gonna take, and let these studies go through.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
You have to live on a private way.
Eric Murphy, Ocean Street. I appreciate the passion everybody has here. It's clear that everybody in the room is against making this area into a parking lot. I remember when I was 15 riding a bike in through there and they were pumping the spoils into the area. And they had to let it sit for months at a time until it dried up into a mucky, muddy, smelly area. Now you're talking about tearing the scab off of that essentially is the grasses and things that have grown on top of it. You know, the name says it all. It's a spoils area. You don't want to eat spoiled bread. You don't want to drink spoiled milk. It's a spoiled area. Spoiled. Don't touch it. Don't tear the scab off it. Don't open it up so that all that dust, when every time a truck comes in and every time a truck goes out, the dust flies up and floats over our neighborhood and coats our cars and coats our houses. I here personally am asking the board to sponsor a core sample for themselves of that property, independent core sample to find out what is there if they do put the parking lot in it, what's the dust flying around, where is the dust going. Clearly we don't need, there's a need for a parking space, we don't need it because the harbor master himself at the last meeting last week, in his last sentence says, we'll put a chain across it when we're not using it. So apparently he doesn't need it, he just wants it, it's something he wants. So safety-wise, you're not looking at the neighborhood. And honestly, there's not one person here that I've heard last Tuesday or tonight, other than the harbor master, that is for this, and he lives in Situate. There's no one from Marshfield that wants this, not one person. You can't find anybody. So for you to go ahead and vote at all is irresponsible. You should just pass it off, skip it.
Vote against it.
Vote against it altogether. Or, you know, if it goes further, then we need core samples. And I'm calling on you specifically to pay for it as a board of DPW.
Thank you.
Okay, is anyone, lady in the back,
Anastasia Powers from 346 Elm Street. So similar, I don't really have a stake in the game. I don't live in the area, but I'm in full support of this neighborhood and what they need to do. I love going down to Brant Rock. I think, you know, you're destroying the area, that, you know, just filling it in, you know, to have a parking lot. There's plenty of parking. Every time I go down there, we're down there every weekend. We enjoy going down there. We enjoy walking all the way from the far parking lot all the way up. I mean, it's a beautiful walk. I don't see why we can't use the parking lots that are there and look at those safety issues. The other question I had is that if this is a spoils area and the plan is to fill it in for a parking lot, what happens when there are dredging in the future? Like, I guess I'm not really understanding, is the plan just to put that in the parking lot itself? Or do you need to find another place to now dispose of spoils and we're gonna go into another area that potentially is a wetland or another piece of property that we have to now put spoils in? I mean, that's the purpose of that property, and we should keep it that way because that's what it's there. And we know we're gonna have to dredge. Dredging is something that happens. So I guess I'm just not really sure of what the plan is going forward if this were to become a parking lot on where the dredging spoils would go.
okay,
Can I add, it doesn't say, you haven't said how much of this lot is going to be used, by the way, just as an aside. And I want to remind everybody, isn't it funny how your selectmen have not said anything about this? And another elected board, DPW, they want to pass it off to the zoning board. Always the elected officials don't want to take responsibility.
well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. One second. I'm going to, when I started this whole conversation, I had asked the superintendent, why is it so critical for us to vote tonight and sign an MOU? And I wanted to have facts presented, and I want to thank everyone here that did present facts, because I don't think we need to vote on it tonight. I think we need to take it under advisement and move forward to determine. I'm going to state the reason why I voted to move forward to find out fact-finding back in June was exactly to make sure that there's an open and fair process and that we don't lose the ability to have an area to put dredge spoils in the future. And if that's the case, and if we're going to be by doing a change of use and cutting ourselves off from using a dredge spoiled area in the future, then I'm totally against it. And so we need to, and Joe had made that point that, you know, we need to find that out before we make a vote. There's traffic issues, the statistics, there's the crosswalk issue, there's kids, there's a smell issue, there's an environmental issue. I'm an environmental engineer, I understand all that. And I haven't really seen that much presented to me. So my position is to put this thing on hold and get some more facts and then move forward from there at a future meeting.
So what are we gonna do? Traffic study,
So-
soil sample?
So Tom, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. I'm going to go down, this is my list, and Dave, you have your list.
Well, I just want a quick question. I mean, if in fact we are moving forward and we do go for core samples, we could have that done under the supervision of the town engineer to make sure that it's extensive and representative.
Definitely.
And, you know, the fact that it's being pulled out by the Amory engineer or whoever might end up doing the sampling, and typically it's an independent sampler, then we'd have the independent overview of the town engineer to make sure that it was not anything toxic in there. I do know that, you know, in 2010, as I said before, that the issue was the fines, so that they couldn't go to the offshore disposal area, and that's why it ended up in the dredge spoils area then. And the other reason for it was it would have added considerably to the dredging project if we had to cart it off to a landfill somewhere onshore.
Right. No, and I think it's important that, you know, that we keep that as a dredge spoils area.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, we have dredge spoils sitting in other locations that need to be sampled and before they can be moved, so there is a need for the dredge spoils area.
And I guess the other question I had was, with you, is that, this will require basically a couple of letters to go forward to, I think one for various legal aspects of the zoning board's positions and the filing as it came to request town council to review it. Is if there is something defective in the filing, it should be addressed before it goes any further. And secondly, a traffic study data, I think, you take that directly out of the hands of, the harbor master. It's easy enough. It's easy enough for us to arrange that.
The LSP to come in, oversee the sampling of the cores and.
This is a capital project. You gotta go to town meeting to get money to do all this.
No, we don't.
So for operational engineering, no, we don't. We have funding.
What happens if you find, what happens if you find a love canal underneath the ground?
You won't find love canal out of there.
What happens if you do, and you're digging this hole to look at it? Well, if you do, are you gonna take care of us?
It's a scare tactic that's.
I'm just saying, what if you find mercury?
Okay.
Do you wanna know?
No, let's.
The answer to that question would be.
Yeah, thank you. We're not gonna argue anymore. I think, Dave, why don't we just get the list so that we can give direction to the superintendent?
Bob, can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just concerned, for the DPW funding, our budgets last year, we were really tight. We just kind of made it by with the money that we were given.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with the DPW overseeing the project, but I think if it's a harbor master project, that we should have the harbor master's office.
Correct. His
pay
budget
It
pays.
should come out of
we
his
oversee.
budget, not ours. It's his.
No, I agree that we need to come up with at least a list. And then we send it to the harbor master, and then have the harbor master fund it as part of this project, so that we at least we have the answers going forward.
With
And if the project goes on its merits, the project goes on its merits. If the project doesn't go on its merits, then it doesn't go. But at least we're not gonna just say, we're gonna carte blanche, give it approval. It was never given a carte blanche as approval. It was to move forward.
Which one is up for election this term?
Oh, yeah. You want to run against me? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
Don't worry, Steve, I am.
Mr. Chairman, I think that going forward, that the cores can be absorbed through the budget of the project that's being proposed. I think it makes sense that, we require that. So the harbor master is proposing this, and if there's a list of things that we're gonna require, it makes sense, to hold off on these cores too until ZBA makes a final decision. If ZBA turns down the project, then there's no sense of us going forward testing anything. So I would.
So do you have the list? So I want to come up with a list. All right? The first item on the list is the environmental issue. All right? What's in there and what's it smell like?
Sir?
All right? No, don't interrupt me.
No, Joe.
Don't interrupt me.
It's a
All right? The second is that I want to deal with the traffic issue. What the data is. All right? All right? Then the third issue is what is really the use issue of the parking lots? Not just the one that's at the pier, but also the one just past Haddad's.
That one is a beach parking lot.
And can we use that for parking?
They use the beach, they use that lot. They work with the restaurants in Brent Rock for overflow parking.
Yeah.
So they work that, and at one point, they used the dredge spoils area for overflow parking for both Haddad's and the Fairview. That's going back a couple of years ago.
Where?
They did, a couple of years ago.
Okay, but we need to have the statistics
Right.
to justify it.
Right.
All right? All right, the $62,000 question is in 2010, we did 5,000 cubic yards of dredge spoils and fines. Moving forward, can we actually use that with that area for a dredge spoil site?
Well, that's the idea of doing core samples is twofold, because you could also take that data and use it to see if it's compatible to use on the beach.
But we need beach sand in this town. I mean, we're starved on the beach, especially Grand Rock. You know, so, I mean,
Rid of the rocks.
anything we can do to put more sand on the beach and make sure it's clean is a plus.
Believe
That
me,
material
we
doesn't go
attempted
to
this
the- doesn't go
spring.
to the beach anyway. That material goes to the northwest corner of Stellwagen Bank to the contaminated dredge site. The only material that goes from Duxbury Beach is from the Narrows out. Anything from the inner harbor gets
So
scattered.
why
to the
is it,
northwest
so my big question is, why does it go to Duxbury Beach when Marshville Beach is starving?
Oh, because of the cost of.
I understand that, but the thing is, there should be a way of putting it in a barge and putting it over towards, Rexham Beach, the public beach, so that it would wash down, along the front of our seawalls.
It's about much, but it would cost more to bring it around the corner.
But we have a major infrastructure problem if we don't have sand on the beaches.
We're off
Yeah, I'm
track.
I'm more than one
The end of our season.
type of person here. I mean, I'm looking at it from the whole perspective of the town. I mean, we have to work together, we have to get the facts right, and we have to do it the right way. We're not gonna argue back and forth, we're gonna we'll walk the walk, and we'll crawl the crawl when you need to, but we'll end up at the right place. If it doesn't make sense to put a parking lot there, it doesn't make sense. If it does make sense to put a parking lot there, and the statistics show and the need shows, then we'll have a further discussion on that.
The material that went into the dredge spoil area from the last dredging project was a material that was dug by a backhoe on a barge directly in front of the northern pier, put into trucks in the launching ramp, and then trucked over there because of cost. It was so much cheaper to do it that way. And then I believe Green Harbor Marina also put some of their material there.
Okay.
But contaminated material isn't allowed to go there anymore. It used to go there in years past. So buried underneath all that is where the contaminated material is.
So you're gonna find it's pretty clean. Unless it's way down deep.
On the surface, the last dredge project.
Green Harbor did not end up actually putting any dredge spoils in there. They
Okay.
went offshore.
Right.
So did we get the list?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. So I'll let you say the last word, because I'm gonna close this
I
up.
have my peanut pie, she's talking enough.
Oh,
The neighbor,
okay.
sorry.
No, I have something to say, Marty, I want to say it, then you can talk, it's okay.
All right, I'll give you the last
All
word and let her
right,
speak.
thank you.
No, I'm.
Oh, where'd the guy go with the fisherman guy?
He left. He left.
Yeah,
Did you want to get fish?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would like something done with his suggestion. I would like you to somehow incorporate something to Mr. DeMayo saying, the area, the people who live here, it's our home. We would like you to come up with some alternatives. Why are we going down this tunnel and having tunnel vision? This is what we're gonna do. There could be a million different ways of dealing with these couple of boats and their trailers.
I agree. I don't disagree with that. We need to add, that was the idea of the additional parking space down at the, no, wait a second.
Well, no, there's plenty of parking right there.
I understand that, but at the meeting in June, there was a discussion on separating the truck from the trailer, and it was a public safety issue.
Why is it
So-
public safety?
Hey, wait a second, Dave. So, we can can the harbor master address the issue of the separation of parking trucks and trailers separately?
For the couple of days.
Okay, so your issue has been noted.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, now I'm gonna give you the last word.
Okay, so my final thing was a couple of things. First of all, that area where I live now, which is adjacent to the parking lot area, is a flood zone. You know, if you're just leveling everything out of there, pushing it all to the side, you know, even though it's an impervious surface, you know, we've got the tides coming in there, you got weather down there, you know, your flood zone, that whole area could just kind of fill right up. We're seeing that now with the climate change and all that. That's the point I just wanted to reiterate. I mean, we have neighbors on one side and across the street that were cutting down the Frey monies, and they had got an enforcement order from the Conservation Commission that they had to let that restore. So now we're talking about taking stuff down there, that will be the same type of issue. So that's my concern.
Okay, and that idea of moving this land to conservation, if that would probably eliminate us using this area as a dredge spoil in the future, which I would really not want. I would really want to have it as an area for what the intent of purpose was. Because once you close that off, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Can I-
So,
can I just
okay.
say too?
But I gave him the last word, but I'll say.
I just want to say, actually, when you think about it, I mean, like, I'd love to have it as conservation land, that's a nifty little idea, but I probably wouldn't pass a town meeting anyways, so not worth the effort, because the coastal wetland zone clearly spells out that even though the coastal wetland zone was laid over and causes a protection over this land, that essential services are allowed. And they clearly state the sewer plant and other things that would be associated with that. So they knew at the time that the bylaw was created in 1972, that the sewer plant was an essential service, and I believe that this land is actually there in a way to make sure that if it's needed, that's what goes in there, is essential services. But again, the parking lot is not an essential service.
Okay, I'm gonna close it, and the last thing is we're taking a no vote, and we're going to do fact-finding. I would give Dave Carey the last, actually, the last.
I want to speak.
I don't need to.
I want to speak too.
I'll let John have the last one.
Okay,
Just let me, I had a number of items I made here in the margin, which is, one is the traffic study and volume data, resident pedestrian safety issues and the crossing safety issues that were brought up tonight. Getting peak day numbers and frequencies so that we know how many days of the year are we actually looking at here that's an issue. The spoils, issues, and the fact that if you transfer it to conservation, one thing, just while the warrant is still open, if you are bringing forward a citizens petition article for the special town meeting, I believe you have to get 100 signatures, which between now and Thursday might be a tough sell.
200.
200. I'm sorry.
It'd be that easy.
I'm sorry, it's if it's for the special, yeah. And then, the spoils agreement, we are in the process of still reviewing it because, we've had some discussions I had with the superintendent that we may want to add a clause or a trigger that actually says, we look at it again in 5 years, and if we need to pull it back, we pull it back at that point in time. And then, I see this as requiring 2 letters to be generated. One would be to the harbor master with a copy to the town council for the issues that are here before us, so that we get the opinions of the proponent and also the opinion of our legal counsel.
Okay, John.
So, I'm down at, my wife and I are down at Town Pier every day, 7 days a week. We have coffee in the morning, we have ice cream in the afternoon with my wife. We also trailer a boat. When we trailer Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That town pier parking is never full. On the weekends, it's fuller than it is during the weekdays. Now, if we get into these large trailers, which I want to address, there's no more than 4, if that, at a given time. There is a trailer down there now, a large trailer pulled by a dump truck. Has no registration at all. It's been there, you've seen it. It's been there for 3 or 4 days. I see it, no registration. If you go down there and look, you'll see a lot of trailers, no registration. Now we're seeing trailers with a trailer plate from Maine. Now, from Maine, non-resident, you don't have to live there, you can get a plate, 5 years for $100. No sales tax, no excise tax, no nothing. They're down there, and they pull in, and I go and check and see what they paid. $10. The only guy that really paid the 21 is the guy from Rhode Island. He's there now. I checked the trailers, and I called the harbor master. And I say, by the way, give me this license, give me this. There's a roofing company with 2 trucks with Maine plates, and they get away with murder. And I actually talked to the guy. And I asked him, I says, how do you do this? He says, well, you just go to Maine for $100, 5 years. 5 years. So, and they never check.
I'd love to talk about this more and everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to move on to the rest of the meeting.
You can talk.
Oh, wait a second.
See that- see
You're
that-
getting off the subject about individuals.
It's about the trailers.
And
It's about the trailers.
the issue is that we're doing no vote tonight, and we have a list, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming to the Board of Public Works meeting, so that we
much for the
can
last word.
clear the air and do the right fact finding. Steve, it's very nice to see you.
That's Steve, well, don't worry, I'm not gonna run against you, I'm not gonna vote against you.
It's okay, you can vote against me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this continued?
It's continued,
Till?
till we get more facts.
Oh, no, I didn't know. Guys gotta do the right thing for Brant Rock. I don't know if there was a date.
See you later.
There was already a date, like,
No,
there's
well,
so much time.
they gotta go to the ZBA, they gotta go to conservation is wash their hands of it. They gotta go to the ZBA.
Can we vote to table this?
Okay, so I'll make a motion to table this for pending fact finding.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, there you go.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back onto the regular agenda. Let's go through the minutes. The minutes. Dave, why don't you go through the minutes?
Okay, the first minutes up for review are the open minutes of June 21st, 2021.
Hey, come on.
Excuse me, we need to conduct the rest of the meeting. If you need to talk, go outside, please. Thank you.
You're welcome to stay.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay.
I'm staying now.
Okay. I've read these, I had no issue with them.
Okay, so, the minutes of 6/21, you have a second on?
Wait a minute, will you?
Make a motion to accept?
Wait a minute.
I said, wait,
Okay.
just reviewing.
One more page. Okay, I'm all right with that one.
Okay, have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next minutes, Dave?
Next set of minutes is July 12th, 2021. This is the one where actually we had the Harbor Master DeMayo in front of us. I read through these, and just double check on anything that rose up out of the previous one. Okay, give us a long extension, everybody there. Yeah, you captured Eric Skelly's comments. No, I was okay with these as written, and I think Anne Marie got the facts down. Yep.
Yeah, you directed Eric to make comments and send them to me.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, yeah.
Okay.
so I was, make a motion to accept the minutes
Second.
of 7/12.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, third one, Dave?
The third set of minutes is for July 26th, 2021. It was also an open meeting.
That's where we did raise
Let's see.
There was no rating.
I'm sorry, this is
No
the,
rating.
we left, and we went into executive session, I believe, after water rates.
Okay.
And so that, the open portion I was fine with.
Okay,
I make a motion, we accept them?
you have a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would pass over the executive session. We have not got confirmation back from the parties that we would
Okay, so,
talking about,
all right.
So we'll hold on to the executive session.
please.
Okay, so, next item on the agenda is the extent contract number 2020-18 generator and transfer switch maintenance and repair of wastewater and water division. So is this, Paul?
Actually, I think Rob wrote this up, and I think Tom...
Yeah, I have the information here. This is the second year of a 3-year contract for the generator maintenance with FM Generator of Canton, Mass. The town has extended the contract at their discretion for an additional year for a total not to exceed 3 years as originally bid. The bid amount is subject to an escalation clause based on skilled worker from ENR index The hourly rate has increased 1.6% over the one-year period from July to July. The new rates will reflect this one-year increase. We have added 2 more generators in the water division for maintenance schedule, and the total estimate cost for 2 years is $25,598.80. The contract period will end June 30th, 2022. Both water and wastewater supervisors are in favor of extending the contract FM generator. And there is a motion attached.
Okay. Dave?
I had read through this. I also have talked briefly with the water supervisor in that regard, and I'm satisfied that they've done a good job for us to date, and we should continue.
Okay, so the motion is to authorize amendment number 1.
You asked me for anything?
Oh, I'm sorry, John, do you have any comments?
I concur and agree with Dave that the FM generator has done really outstanding work for us.
So John, you want to make the motion?
Don't interrupt me, please.
Sorry.
Do you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion. Okay, the motion is authorize amendment number 1 to extend contract 2020-18 generator and transfer switch maintenance and repair for wastewater and water divisions with FM generator of Canton, Mass. for an additional year ending June 30th, 2022, with a 1.6% escalation of hourly labor costs as stipulated in the contract for an estimated contract amount of $25,598.80. And the chairman or designee will sign the amendment extending the contract when the documents are prepared. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. John, you want to take this one? Extend contract 2021?
Which one is this?
It's item number 3.
Oh,
It's the electrical maintenance.
yeah, I can do that. Let me look at it first. Tony, you have a comment on this? Oh, high voltage, they've done an outstanding job.
Right, I mean, he's been our
Yeah.
contractor
Yeah.
for quite some time. I don't know if Paul wants to comment on it also.
I'll only add this, I did not have a chance to research their spending patterns over the past year, nor to prepare the actual amendment based on the likely expenditures, the way Rod did for FM. However, and I'll tell you, we all trust high voltage, they have done an outstanding job for us over many, many years. I did discuss with Rod the likely escalation, and it has the same contract, the same clause as the engineering use record skill labor index, and so we recommend that the escalation will be 1.6% for that too. And if the motion is approved, then I will be able to draft up the actual amendment the way I've done a number of times before and be able to get that into the board for signature in the quite near future. So this is really an act, vote on the motion to extend the contract with, for one more year. Again, it's the same as FM generator was. This will be the second year for a potential total of 3 years. So it's structured the same way FM's arrangement was.
Thank you, Paul.
Sure.
I'd like to comment.
Comments?
Yep. When it comes to the cost that Paul said he didn't have a chance to research, as a incidental thing, we had 2 electrical contractors available to the town. One is working for the facilities department, and the other has been long-term working for the water division and the wastewater division of the electric. When we were redoing the electrical interior of the new 965 Plain Street building, high voltage was markedly cheaper than the facilities pricing, their electrical supervisor, and we went with high voltage for that purpose, as Mr. Bowen can attest. So their prices are competitive, and nobody knows our electrical maintenance needs of this town any better than Mike Pizik does. And I'm an electrician's brat. I was raised by a master electrician, and he's a damn good one.
And I know that you keep away from electricity.
I will say that also that Mike is, when you call him 24/7, he's responsive immediately.
So John, any other questions? John, you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion. The motion is to extend contract number 2020-21 electrical maintenance, wastewater and water divisions with High Voltage Associators, Inc., for one additional year starting September 14, 2021, and to authorize the chairman or designated member to execute the contract documents when they have been prepared. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item is the contract amendment for Phase 2 Brent Rock seawall.
Okay.
So,
This is, I'll step up for Rod here. The town received grant funding, $2,349,375 to reconstruct approximately 600 linear feet of seawall from North Street to South Street. Bid documents are being finalized and the advertisement date is August 18, 2021, and bid opening is scheduled for September 16, 21. Amendment number 2 performs public bidding with town assistance, construction administration, resident engineering for the construction period in accordance with GEI proposal dated July 16, 2021. The bid services is $5,000. Construction services budget based on time and material basis not to exceed $125,000 for a total estimate of $130,000. The original contract amount was $126,000. Contract to date is $132,220. Funding article is $3.5 million. Prior seawall funding authorized and $2 million available for match, and the $2,349,375 state grant. Staff recommends authorization of proposed amendment number 2.
okay, any comments, John?
No, I'm good with this. No?
Likewise, I'm good with it.
Mr. Murphy? You okay?
Oh, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
First of all, I think this is awesome news. So I think this is great. Thanks, guys. Question about the very end by South Street. Do you guys happen to know, like, what will be the design? Like, are you thinking that you put in, like, steel stairs again? Or are you thinking it'll be, like, cement stairs like we see off our Hartford Road or, like, down on, like, one of those streets? Like, do you have any idea what that's gonna look like?
I would have to look at the plans again. I don't remember if it's a concrete plan or if the concrete steps are, at one point, were about $150,000 to construct. And in that area, I'd have to look at the plans to confirm it.
And I'm just curious, like, I know because a lot of these plans, like Tom, with the Esplanade and stuff that we've been trying to do, like, it seems like a lot of people have to come and look at it and vote upon it. Like, that particular entrance, if you will, is like right by the jetty, and it just seems like there's a lot of foot traffic there, and it would really, I think, benefit from also having, like, if we're building it, build it right, like with like a lifeguard station even. I don't know if, like, you guys, like, if people have thought of this and, like, stuff like that. It just seems like, and I want to talk to Cindy too, because, like, truthfully, like, I know she has the two, there are 3 lifeguards really up by that one end, when really, like, a lot of the traffic goes to the one patch of sand that we have in Brant Rock, by the jetty. Do you know what I'm talking about?
This has been designed a year ago, so there's already a plan in place.
All right.
This was construction money that was awarded, and as I mentioned to you earlier today, the other award was for design of the Ocean Bluff
Right.
area.
Oh, yeah, so I was just curious if the design, like, was locked in, like.
Yeah, let me check and I'll let you know exactly what type of stairs are going in down there.
Cool.
Okay.
I mean, cement would be beneficial, then we don't have to go back every year and take them out and put them back in.
That too. Actually, you should think about that as a part of the cost, right, or savings.
And the other issue is what the velocity is hitting the
The
wall.
velocity of
Right.
It's what the specialists look at.
Yeah. Whatever you guys think. I mean, I was just curious because I saw that on the agenda and I was just wondering the status. So when would that, like, thing start to be constructed, would you say? Would it be this year or next year?
We would hope for this year,
Oh.
depending on how quickly we can get the bids out and back in and the contract signed and, you know, you know, it's beneficial if you can get the same contractor and, you know, the contractor may be working in the next town. So the mobilization cost is cheaper
Yep.
that way, so.
And the bid would be cheaper.
Right, the bids will come in cheaper when they don't have to mobilize from a long distance.
Got it. And so the thought is like you won't be able to jump from like the seawall to the beach
No.
again. All right.
I mean, we are looking to advertise on the 18th of August, and we are looking to have the bid opening scheduled for the 16th, which should give us a chance to mobilize before the winter hits.
Okay. And there wouldn't be any way to like change that design if we wanted, okay.
Not at this point.
We live down in Fieldson, and we had the cement stairs from the original wall. The new stairs that we have are much more narrow. You might want to go with the metal stairs.
When you
They're
get to the
tough.
bottom, it's like your foot doesn't even fit.
Do you know what I mean? So the metal aren't that bad. They're really.
It's more like.
Any other quick comments?
Sorry.
I'll read the motion. I have a comment, Dave, if I would. Contract to date, 132, we're asking for, you know, a total less than 130, why is there a difference?
They're doing an addition to the contract today. The original contract was 126. I believe we had some supplemental engineering, if I remember rightly, Tom?
Correct.
That brought it up to another $6,220 to the current contract today.
So we're adding another
We're adding
130 on top of that?
$130,000 on top of that.
Okay, good, okay. All right. So I'll make the motion to authorize contract amendment number 2 to contract 2019-09 with GEI Consultants Incorporated for the amount of $130,000 for the purpose of providing engineering services for Brent Rock seawall repair, Phase 2, for bidding, construction administration, and resident engineering. And the chairman or designee is authorized to sign the contract amendment when the documents are prepared. Said authorization is subject to receiving final executed grant amendment for funding through the state dams and seawall grant program. Have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to make a note, when I started on this board in 2002, it was unheard of. The state would come in and help us out with any seawalls, and it's been a major push for the last 20 plus, well, a little less than 20 years, but we've had good representative on the state level that got this funding put through with the rivers and dams people in the western part of the state, and it was a cooperative effort from the people, the representatives on the eastern part of the state, working with the western part of the state to actually get funding for these type of water protection and velocity type of water protection issues. So I'm real proud that finally that we can actually say we are helping Brent Rock and we are trying to protect Brent Rock. So I want to make that one comment.
So I just have a really quick thing, the velocity, I don't know if you've been down to the Puritan Street section of stairs, but there's a rock that's been embedded in the railing there for about 3 years. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but that's.
See the superintendent, we'll have.
It's been there for 2-3 years now. It's embedded into the railing.
The rocks get embedded over the seawall, go right through people's houses.
No, this is a huge rock, a huge rock.
We had 2 8-ton rocks disappear overnight on a high
Well,
tide.
it didn't come from the railing. So thank you, I appreciate the
Down on
efforts.
Bay Ave.
Next item is the Household Hazardous Waste Day. Paul?
Hi, yes, members of the board, this is really a record about the Household Hazardous Waste Day in Denver. So our selected day would be September 18th, 2021. 2 vendors had been available for this day out of the 4 that were pre-vetted by the state. Excuse me. We haven't checked with Clean Harbors in a while, but in any event, the price, based on the contract pricing and the exact load profile that we received at last year's event, Clean Harbors is more expensive, and the firm Trident Environmental offers an apparent savings of about $4,400 based on the actual loans received at last year's event. I did quite a bit of work on this last year, a lot of research, because at this time last year we were coming out of the pandemic and a whole bunch of events that have been deferred were being rescheduled, so it was really a scramble to get things scheduled. In any event, Trident was vetted at that time and by the state fully, and I have it with me, I just brought it along in case questions go ahead, but let me kind of email chain on discourse that went back and forth. Trident is added as they've been a subcontractor to major firms that have done this, including ACV, Clean Harbors, and Veolia in North America. But their support hasn't just been sending a few people, it's really been essentially running, I think, to a good extent is like running the event, setting up tents, tables, and waste consolidation areas, unloading vehicles, packaging of the waste into DOT shippable containers, then site cleanup and breakdown. I did get some positive references from a few other towns last year, and I included a positive reference for an event smaller than ours, but which was just held last November by the town of North Reading, and that reference was attached. The only complaint, they had a minor concern, was that they just took a long time to get their invoice in. In fact, I know that these firms often use a Household Hazardous Waste Day event kind of as a form of community outreach. We would certainly, start communicating with them if they're approved, and just make sure that they're fully lined up and ready and mobilized. Because for the last 2 years, we had very heavy events. We had a lot of people that showed up, and a lot of waste was also handled, even on a per car basis. They were. Probably in a range of 75% to 100% bigger than they were, let's say, 5 or 6 years ago. So, it was really a chore for the people to have to deal with it. Maybe this is kind of a surge that's beginning to thin out a little bit, but, we will be in touch with them and make sure,
So Paul, since we have a camera here, could you, if somebody's listening at home, Hazardous Waste Day takes what type of waste? And what it does not take?
Well, what it mostly doesn't take is, the most common sense, what it doesnn't take is latex-based paint. It takes oils, household, it takes oils and solvents, insecticides, aerosols, oil-based paints, lubricants. I just reviewed this with our aide, Donna Loomis. Let me just get the notes here. In fact, people will often show up with other stuff that will be received by us, and if need be, they'll have a DPW truck available that will be able to bring them to the transfer station. Or people, depending on the load, might be, if they have a sticker, they might be sent to the transfer station. We don't take appliances. Last year, I know that we did there were a number of fire extinguishers. We won't take fluorescent lights, and there's a complete listing of things that are accepted. I know that Don has been very meticulous about keeping this list up to date, and unfortunately I have to say knows it a lot better than I do. But I'd say the simple, it's solvents, oil-based paints, insecticides, aerosols, lubricants, things like that. Don't bring latex-based paint.
And it's on the webpage too.
Right.
It is on the webpage.
It is on the webpage.
Yeah, so if you're looking to find out what is being taken, what is not, go to the Marshall DPW webpage.
Webpage, yes.
The solid waste for Hazardous Waste Day.
One point I would make is that one of the things we don't take at Hazardous Waste Day, except, as Paul just alluded, by transferring it back up to the transfer station, is motor oil, which if you will have a dump sticker, every second Saturday of the month, you can bring that between May and October, and then it cuts off. And it's always recyclable, again, with wherever you bought the motor oil.
Do we take car batteries and that kind of stuff?
We take those at the transfer station.
Take them at the transfer
Not the
station.
HHW.
But if they came to the House Hazardous Waste Day, as Paul just alluded, they would load it on the truck and take it up.
The reason why I brought this up is in case somebody's watching.
Yeah.
and they didn't know where would they go and that.
No, it's a good
How about
point.
gasoline?
I believe they take gasoline also.
Yeah, these things are consolidated, that the different companies, even though they were vetted by one complicated process by the state. In fact, I can recall a couple of years ago having gone through the proposals and the exact strategy for pricing and the descriptions by the different companies, and they don't all categorize them exactly the same way because they have their own different vertically integrated chains of handling the waste and consolidating and shipping it off into their own transfer and disposal facility, so.
They will take exception to the state list. Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
all right, so,
I think we had a question?
Just the location of that, is it gonna be at the Furnace Brook again?
Yes.
Okay.
okay, so I'll make the motion to award the household hazardous waste collection agreement, contract number 2022, is there a number like XX?
Not yet. I suspect, and Dan, from the dollar value of this has tended to be in the mid to upper 20s for the last several years, even with the higher waste loads. I mean, I would expect it, like in this, last year, expected to be.
I think he's asking for the suffix number on the
There is no suffix number yet.
Okay, so to be determined.
To be determined, it would also be a purchase order, probably would be the actual
Okay, fine.
means of engaging the firm.
To Trident Environmental Group and to authorize the chairman or designated member to execute the contract or PO documents when they are prepared. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Is that Paul's last item, Tom?
That's it, yep.
Thank you.
Paul, thank you very much.
I didn't know if he had the drain layer.
No.
Okay,
Okay,
number 7.
item number 5, dredge spoil area.
We're just there. Number 7.
Okay, we're done with that.
Stop it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Ladies.
Okay, item number 6, water system mapping, engineering supplemental services.
This is a pilot to determine our mapping, our water system. We need to know exactly gates, valves, hydrants, size of pipe, and all the appendages for the water system. We've done some mapping already in the southern end of town when we were doing our water and wastewater. So this will continue on that. I've been informed that our environmental partners, our consultant, has met the criteria to work for the abatement trust. So they called me and asked me, we're eligible for a grant that will cover the cost of this mapping, along with our townwide assessment. So there's some funding available, and we're gonna try to get as much of it as we can to address this mapping, to continue this mapping from the pilot, and then to do our assessment.
I have a question.
Okay, Dave, want to tell us one?
In reading through this, the one thing that I don't see here that I thought would probably be a piece of this is up until a certain period of time, which I think was circa 2008 or 9, that you were allowed to, where we replaced transite pipe, crush the pipe and leave it in the trench, and then at a later date, this DEP changed its approach to that and required you to remove it.
Right.
Now, we were supposed to map the areas where we crushed and left pipe. I'm sure if you go back far enough, that never got done, but I guess, would that be included in this? Because I don't see it on one of the lists, that's why I asked.
I mean, that's something we could add as an amendment to the contract, to have them identify those areas.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to pretty much do it anecdotally from our guys, that have been in the water department for a while.
Right.
Remember to the best of their knowledge. It was supposed to be logged, I know, when you were crushing it after a certain period of time.
Right.
So it was asbestos pipe that,
remember we had a lot of transite pipe in the water system, and originally had the vinyl lining and the TCE was leaching from it. A lot of that got replaced over time, and some of it just flat out failed.
Okay.
There's a piece on South River Street that's in the ground.
Yeah.
We were gonna use it as an emergency.
Yeah.
We could also use it as a force main
Right.
for sewer. So that was the idea of leaving that intact there.
And I remember going up Pilgrim Trail, there used to be a dead-end line there. I think it got eliminated when they developed that area further. But I'm just not seeing any reference to residue of transite pipe. It should be appropriately
Sure.
documented.
I'll talk with Paul about that.
Yeah, otherwise I'm good with it.
So are we asking for a discussion on this? Are we asking for a motion to
Asking
accept?
for a motion so that we
So make
can
a motion.
proceed.
There is no motion.
Okay, I would make a motion that we authorize the superintendent to proceed with the pilot program, seek the appropriate grants going forward through environmental partners in the state, and begin to pick up the next string of the mapping program.
Is this what environmental partners, is that what you?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
I'll
you have a second?
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm abstaining because it could be a DEP grant. Okay. Next item is pavement management program, engineering and supplemental services.
This contract, our contract expired with Beta Engineering, when they did our original pavement management plan. And the gentleman that did our pavement management plan now is an employee of Environmental Partners.
So we're following the
So
consultant.
I'm following this, asking that we allow Environmental Partners to proceed with our pavement management program. And again, this pavement management program rates all of our roadways on a 1 to 10 grade, and we determine by using the pavement management book on what our paving needs are, whether it's pavement maintenance, surface maintenance, whether it's a full depth, whether it's a mill and fill, or just an overlay.
Okay.
So this is a tool that we use annually to determine what roads need to be paved.
And as I read on page 2, it is for a lump sum of $58,500.
Yes, that is paid for by our Chapter 90 monies.
Okay, and that would be, okay.
Any comments?
Is there a motion here?
The superintendent's gonna make the motion.
With environmental partners?
This is a motion to award this contract to, the pavement management contract to Environmental Partners, not to exceed, I don't have the number.
58,500 was the number on page 2, Tom.
58,500.
It's in bold, it's under the bold.
58,500 under pavement management to an award to Environmental Partners. Oh, I didn't even see that.
So I have a question on the lump sum component.
That's on motion.
Is that really a lump sum or is it not to exceed?
I'm sorry, it's a lump sum.
It's a lump sum.
Okay. I said both, I think.
So what do we get for the lump sum?
58,500.
I understand the money, but I'm.
Where do we get it? If you go to the very last page, before tab 9, it lists database and GIS configurations of 5,000, infrastructure condition assessment, pavement 132
Centerline miles.
centerline miles of 21,500, existing condition analysis of 7,000, total lump sum fee is 33,500, and pavement support services 25,000 for a total of 58,500.
Okay, so the lump sum is 33,500 and then not to exceed is 25,000. With the total contract being 58,500.
I believe it's a lump sum of 58,500 as stated on page 2, because it basically is stipulating the amount of monies that each of the services would provide. The pavement support service is actually outside of the engineering, correct?
Yes,
That's when they're in the field doing work?
it's based on the estimate of the character and extent of the services involved, unforeseen conditions which become evident during the course of the services may alter or increase the effort required. Not to exceed amounts indicate for any task will not be exceeded without formal written amendment to this agreement between client and environmental partners.
I'm good with that.
I think you got it covered, yeah.
Okay,
And someone has to second the motion.
I will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, fine. Okay, we have a new drain layer license to AG
A.G. Flemmer.
Flamur. It's another, is that Italian? It's like Carrier,
It's not French.
It's French.
huh?
That looks somewhat Polish to me.
Polish or Swiss, right?
Okay,
This application, it's submitted a completed application. I'm just looking, Clint Stetson signed off on it. They have no problems. That's all the information I have from them.
That's good, Tom.
I'd make a motion to award Gregory A. Flemmer of G.A. Flemmer LLC for this is from J. Parker, also the collections form.
so I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that completes the items of
That's
action.
action, yeah. That's real.
So I'm gonna turn the discussion items
Can I
over
make
to
a-
Dave.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I'd like to thank Anne Marie for putting this together in a 2-ring binder. Thank you very much.
You're
welcome.
Isn't it a lot easier?
Actually, I have a special request. I would, because it's getting late and I do want to catch this while we might still have somebody
Okay.
watching. I had requested to Tom that he make a statement about the DPW personnel that participated in the procession for Dan Sheehan and the young man that passed away. And, I'd like to move that forward from the superintendent's report so we get it out of the way. I meant to do it first thing when we had people here and it didn't happen.
Sure. No, I mean, it's an honor for me to be able to present the names of the staff that stepped up last Wednesday for Danny Sheridan. Sheehan, I'm sorry, Sheehan. It was, I mean, to see the turnout in the parade was just amazing. I stood in front of Roach Brothers with my family and videotaped it, and I was in awe. And I can't imagine, from listening to the drivers of the vehicles, it brought tears to their eyes as they drove the route to see the people and the outpouring of support that the town of Marshfield came out to give this young man. And I'd like to just take a minute there was 15 individuals that stepped up, and they are Jake Moore, Chuck Davis, Steve Green, Mark Osis, Mark Bulger, Tristan DeRosa, Dennis Leary, Jimmy Jackson from the Highway Department, Jim Kent, the Assistant Superintendent, Randy Burt and Paul Frenchco from Equipment Maintenance, and Nick Wood. Matt Eby from Cemetery Trees and Greens, and Joe Davis and Steve Joyce from the Water Department. And if we had more vehicles, we could have put more people in them because there was people that wanted to volunteer. And I just, the camaraderie of the people, not only in the DPW, but in every department of the town, working with the police and working with the fire, it really is a team effort, and I'm proud to be a member of that team. And Dave, I want to thank you for so graciously stepping up on Friday morning and coming up with the gift certificates for those staff members that participated. I want to thank you for
Well,
that.
apparently if there were 15, I missed 2 people.
Well,
So I'll have to make up. It was a small token of appreciation, and, the one thing that Tom hasn't stated, I don't know if he's getting there or not, but these people did it on their own hook. They were not compensated, okay? They were volunteers, and they did it for nothing other than to support a young man whose struggle the town knows and the nation knows, you know, from the coverage that we've had, you know, and I was standing on the corner of Main Street and Ocean, right across from the Congregational Church, and it was breathtaking. And the number of people that were out there, you know, to pay attention to this young man, and it continued all the way around Ocean Street, back down Webster Street, and then back down to the funeral home. And it, you know, was impressive to see the town come together for a family that had a very, you know, what every parent's worst nightmare is. And it's one I'm glad I've never had to endure.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't add that Dan, the father, was a former employee of the DPW. He was him and his brother both work as summer help, and Dan, I believe, worked in the water department. So there was a connection to the DPW, and it was great to see the outpouring of support.
Yep.
I couldn't be prouder.
Thank you for moving that up, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
A lot of these items relate to you, Dave, so why don't you...
Well, the update on 965, I will defer to Tom, because he has the latest news.
Yes, 965 Plain Street, last Thursday, the filed subbids were opened and came within $300 of the office estimate, which is very encouraging considering the climate that's out there right now. Hopefully that's going to carry over until the 26th when they have the general contractors' bids open. Very optimistic with this, hoping that we'll be able to get this building built for what we have, and I've got my fingers crossed, hoping that we're going to make out okay here. Old Main Street, curb has been set. They're pouring a plate for the berm. Right now, Longview Terrace, the water main has been installed, pressure tested and chlorinated. They'll begin the services tomorrow. I am currently working on the capital items with Dan that closes on Thursday. I will tell you there are, what I'm looking to do here is to get a couple of trucks on the highway side. Cemetery Trees and Greens needs to replace a dump truck. That's a 2010. The two highway assistant foreman's vehicles are both 2012s, and the bodies, the back bodies are starting to sag. So I think it's time, you know, to try to get the best bang for our buck on trade-ins there. Water department, we're looking at about $40,000 for material screening, the water main replacement at Surf Ave, a mid-size excavator with trailer, and then the wastewater, we're looking at a canopy for over the UV building, the UV unit. A canopy with two sides to try to help right now it's out in the elements. And they have to change those bulbs frequently, and they need the crane. So working out in the wind and the rain, I'm trying to get a canopy over to give them some protection, not only from the wind and rain, but even in the winter months. It gets icy and slippery. It's metal grates, so it could be dangerous. So I think by getting a two-sided solid sides and then having a canvas that we could pull back to access the grates, and there's a crane that has to be underneath, so.
This is at the wastewater treatment?
This is at the treatment plant. It's roughly about $150,000.
So
The crane is a jib crane, right?
Yes.
It's a jib crane, yeah.
So are is there, where the crane is it on a rail?
No, it's a pedestal.
It's a jib pedestal.
Okay, so if you put a cover over it, it's not gonna...
No, there'll be enough height underneath clearance for that to spin.
Would you put the cover and have the crane hanging from the cover?
No, because we've already got the crane there, the crane's already in place, and it's, as long as we can get it under cover, it will last us a
And
long
and
time.
if you tried to go out and do like a beam trolley or something like that, you're gonna have to add structure to it, which
Right.
would raise the cost.
Right,
So you're just gonna put the cover, or you're gonna have sides? Because
There'll be-
usually you got wind on the sides.
right, there'll be two sides that will have a metal
They'll be
loop.
rigid sides, yeah.
Right, and
Fence.
then the other two sides will just be a,
Open.
Canopy.
yeah, canvas so that we can pull.
Oh, yeah, okay, good, okay.
That's really under your superintendent's report.
That's all under my superintendent's,
Yeah, and
yes.
and the capital you're referring to is what we'd be bringing forward for the Springtown meeting? Or are these special?
These capital items are going for this fall special.
They're going for the special, okay.
And then in the spring, we'll be looking at probably downsizing the Vector to a six-wheel, 1,000-gallon water storage. But that's something that needs to be addressed in the spring. I think waiting till the spring, we'll have a better idea on the certified retained earnings.
Okay. Exclusive of the capital, under warrant articles, what else do we have besides the one I offered for the PFAS?
That's pretty much it. Really isn't much more. I mean, we're still discussing. You know, if anyone has anything that they want us to add.
How about Woodlot? That road Woodlot?
Well, we don't have that policy yet. We haven't finalized that policy.
When are we gonna do that?
Until we finalize the policy, we can't, we gotta get the planning together, we gotta get selectmen together. We tried that back in the spring and couldn't get all the parties together in time.
Oh,
We have to vote on that policy.
I know that. Well, those people are waiting, so.
I understand that, but we're waiting for information on this policy. I don't think we fine-tuned it.
All right.
So we're still working on that. Rod has been up to his eyeballs.
No, I'm just asking.
No.
We are working on it.
Right, we are. No, but I did get a call from one of the residents on the roads that we were gonna expect, that we passed over at town meeting, and they wanted to know, what was going on. I said, well, until we get that policy approved by the three parties, then we really can't move forward.
Okay. All right, so one other thing. On that Surf Ave monies for the water, can we move the monies that are up at Spring Street that's left over for the water main over to Surf? It's the same thing.
We could do that.
So there's $155,000.
Well, actually, all we have to do is just close it out.
Yeah.
It
Well,
goes
what we have
back
to
into
do is just
retained
sit there.
earnings. Right, it goes back into retained earnings.
Yeah, on water.
Right.
Are you doing warrants just for the fall, you know?
Right now, I'm just doing the fall warrant articles.
Well, the warrant is not open for the Springtown meeting yet.
So, one of the things that I would like to see in the spring, and we had discussed this before, is that we had bought properties around our water supply. And there's facilities there, like houses, whatever, that we probably should do something with them.
We could do that in
So
the
I
spring.
would like to see something be done.
80 Union Street.
So that we don't have abandoned properties around facilities.
Right.
And if something would happen, someone get in there and be shame on us.
80 Union Street is the and then Main Street, we have the one out front. But 80 Union, we can go in and take that building down in there.
Right, okay.
The one on Main Street is by Ferry?
Right at the
Right at the
triangle,
yeah.
The apex.
Yeah, okay.
And then there's that one house that's still up at the top there that had...
Still within the zone, one.
Still within the zone and had shown interest, wasn't at first interested, but now has shown interest in maybe selling that.
Okay.
Okay.
We might want to look at that in the spring.
We have a responsibility to deal with those things that are within the zone one to own.
Yep, owner control.
Okay.
Okay, next, is that you, Dave?
Yep, okay. Just the second round of testing, I got high zone information from the well sites last week from Paul Duras, and I did a comparison. Basically, we're not seeing any net change Everything is remaining pretty much the same. Basically, Union 1, Union 2, Spring Street, School Street, Church Street, were non-detected in the first round of testing and none detected in the second round of testing. Fairgrounds came in at 2.1 parts per trillion and repeated at 2.1 parts per trillion on the actual initial measures. But when they did their second read on the split samples, they couldn't duplicate. So they actually came through as listed non-detected because of that reason. That's what they call the J thing. And then Furnace Brook 2 is in with what I would consider the range of repeatability. That was 5.0 parts per trillion in the beginning, and in the first round. In the second round, it came in at 5.3 parts per trillion. Based on what I've observed on the testing data I've read to date, that's probably within the repeatability capability. So you can consider that as no change. And I was interested in this in particular, and I'm going to be, I just got the second set of data for the low zones, and I will be going through and doing something similar here to,
Under the low zone.
Low zone wells,
Yeah.
And the bottom line comes down that, I was concerned with, particularly with the heavy rain that we had in the interval between the initial testing and the second testing to see if there was all of a sudden any transport increase that would result in stuff going up. And happily, no, it does not appear to be.
Yeah, it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Well, they say the same, where we did have
Right,
previous
right.
readings. So that indicates that, we're in equilibrium,
That's
more
why
or
they
less.
call it forever chemicals, they don't go away.
And one of the things, in going through the sheets, and I forget which one off the top of my head, but, oh yeah, basically, one of these, of the PFAS actually has, as it's one of the listed chemicals when they read it out from the complex name, cetane. And cetane is the additive you put into number 2 oil to turn it into diesel. And it's not a very healthy thing. So, why it would be in the chemicals is a good question to be asked someplace down the line. I think it was on one of the unregulated that I saw that showing up. Not one of the regulated, but the ones that do it for information. The thing that I'd like to, and I talked to Tom on this, but I want the board to either chime in one way or the other, but I believe we want to engage one of our consultants to help put together some information for public education on the subject, so that people understand we are the source of a lot of the PFAS, whether it's in laundry, cooking ware, whatever. That, so that people can make an informed decision on it when they're doing it. And,
So can we, public education, we do the CCR report every year.
Yep.
In the springtime. Could we do a supplement to the CCR report to talk about PFAS and have somebody that is very knowledgeable about that to include that in there?
Yeah, I would think what we'll have to, I mean, we would be, I would think.
Nothing's gonna change, it's no, the thing is.
Yeah, but I think it's, now that it's under regulation, I believe we have an obligation to report it, don't we?
Well, we probably should. We should put some, there should be something in that report, all right, that states PFAS. I mean, we put things in about rags and everything about wastewater. So this would be a public service
We
notice.
could do a page on it, just.
Right, one page.
Maybe we could update next year. I think that we put in some testing that we did, that we recorded that there was testing done, but there wasn't any blurb of information.
But there are people out there, well, my point is that we get something that we try to deal with Dave saying, right to the Joe Public.
Yep.
Or Jane Public, so they can understand it, and then they can learn more about it by going to the different web pages.
That's what we'll do, we'll just put in a little section and we'll give an update as to what we're doing, and then we'll have a link, bring them to like a DEP page.
Right.
But basically, I mean, flashing back in memory, when this gentleman was on the board, and I sat where Tom sits, under his direction, we had, in the water quality report, we included the things like disposal of medications and other items into the septic system, which ultimately make their way to the groundwater. And I think they're looking at something that's similar to that.
Similar to that, they explain, because you hear this stuff all over the place.
Right.
And
In layman's terms, so the regular resident
Right.
can understand it.
Right. And the thing is, that takes a talent to write something that, so people, Joe Public, Jane Public can understand with versus
Text committee.
really, tech stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that, if, you talk to environmental partners or someone like that they.
The PR firm.
Yeah.
That they do that all the time, so.
Yeah, I mean, we have a document that's 8 to 10 pages long as opposed to other towns that have 1, 2 at the most.
Oh, I understand.
think we provide a lot of information.
We also won an award for that CCI report in a number of years,
And
when it first came out.
one comment I want to make, I know you saw, it's another multi-million-dollar project in North Attleboro for treating their water system.
Okay.
And, they have some serious issues.
And I will say also that I received an email this afternoon sending condolences that we didn't receive the coastal resiliency grant from the state. They asked us to reapply, so I'm thinking that.
I saw that come out today.
Yeah, we weren't on it, but I believe we put in for the bypass pump at Plymouth Ave.
Okay, this is from the federal grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was the coastal resiliency one that.
Right.
They just came out $4 million today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the news.
How about the sidewalk?
Oh, yeah, that's right, the safe streets?
Safe streets, we haven't heard yet.
But we still got the education on that for them?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
I know that safe shared streets, they were looking for a grant for Webster and Ocean. They didn't get that, but they got the grant for 6 pedestrian crosswalk beacons for the bridle paths.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they got those. Yeah, so, and, so any grant that comes up, anything to do with road work or anything, we're gonna submit whatever we can, in a timely manner. There's been talk about some of this county money that's available. Through FEMA.
A lot.
Right, so, I mean, it's for water, wastewater infrastructure, so we're looking, we're gonna put in whatever we can. And hopefully, we've talked about Blackmount, sewer and Blackmount, we've talked about Kent Park.
For sewer.
For sewer. Those are the 2 that we actually had plans for, so we've asked a consultant to take a look at it to see the feasibility in moving forward with it.
And I have one more item before we leave the PFAS discussion, which would be, and this is a request to you, Mr. Shaughnessy. In your, to advise me who I would contact within DEP to see if, in fact, we have a listing of products that the 1 through 6 PFASs that we actually have a regulatory standard we have to meet. If they have a listing of those, and likewise for the other 8 odd ones that are, just.
Put me an email and I'll see who's the person.
I will send you an email.
And I'll reply to it.
No, thank you, because, to me, that'd be a piece of public information that if, you could say, and I'm gonna say, Zep floor cleaning product, for example, may carry PFAS with it, which is likely, that's something, that people can know, okay, if you're buying this Zep product, you're getting this, that means when you're done with it, you gotta make sure that you're not dumping it down into your septic system.
It's everywhere.
Dental floss goes down. Dental floss has this.
Everything has it.
I
It
know.
has a wax in it.
I know that, I've been saying that.
It's stable, but it's not necessarily, it's not, the toxicity and the issues going along with it are very all over the place.
Okay.
All right, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
For the next meeting, do you want to stay for?
Second.
September 7th,
So Tuesday.
Tuesday, the day after Labor Day?
Yeah, do you want to change it?
You want to meet on Tuesday or meet the following Monday?
Let's do it the following Monday, because I might be out of town.
So that would be.
I don't have kids in school, that's the best week to be off.
Okay, we'll change it.
So I'll make it the following Monday.
Night all.
Make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Good night, Jan.
We have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
You vote to move the
Yeah, that's what-
Unanimous.
that's what